Hey, hey,
Hey,
hey.
Dr. Tiff.
How are you, Coach Val?
Ooh, girl. I'm good. I'm good. How are you?
Doing good. Today was a day that started off a little bit frantic with the
Mm.
work stuff. And then I just had to tap in some of those mindfulness techniques that we talked about last week when we were discussing teacher burnout. Definitely use some of those today. So I got in a good yoga session, a nice 15-minute meditation focused on breath work. And I came away feeling like a new person. So it's a
Ooh,
good
that's
45
good.
minutes.
That's good. That's good. That's interesting. My day was kind of hectic today too. I'm getting ready to take some children on an over 2 night trip tomorrow. And so just all the things that come with that. My schedule at school was jam packed. So I did, knowing that this morning on the ride to school, I took some time to use some of those techniques as well. And I just played some music and I just focused on breathing just to kind of help me prepare for my day. So that's cool.
I love it. And 2 nights away with all middle schoolers.
Whew, help me, bless me, pray for me. Yes, the answer is yes. We going.
That is going to be a lot of fun.
Right.
I
Right.
love it. I think that's so great that the school is doing that, giving them a chance to get away. Parents are included in this field trip or no?
We are not taking any parents with us on this trip. They are entrusting their children with us for good reasons. This trip is focused on student leadership. So it's
Ah,
going to be really great for these kids.
I like that. I like that. And hopefully, the goal is then to come back with students having learned some leadership skills and using them in the classroom or different
And
school.
around the school building, absolutely walking away with better communications skills so that when they have ideas, they can learn to articulate them so that people will listen to them. And also, they've learned how to listen to other people as well. So,
I love it.
really, really good.
That is awesome. Okay, well, can you believe that this is episode 10?
No, no, not really. Like when we first started doing this, we said we were going to do 3 episodes.
Three and
And
out. That was it.
that was it, and see what happens. And we're on 10.
So
I
that's
think that's amazing.
10 weeks of us coming each Tuesday and being live and interacting with our audience during the live and also during the replays as well when they leave comments there as well. So I just want to congratulate both of us on not only just having the idea but sticking with it and just continuing to help it blossom and grow to be more.
Yeah, I was on a coaching call earlier today talking about our 10th episode, and I was reflecting, thinking when we started that I had no imagination about it continuing the way it has. Or even some of the topics that we have discussed so far. Like, what's been your favorite?
I think for sure the teacher burnout 3-part series that we did was my favorite, especially the last episode. If you're watching this live tonight or you're watching the replay, if you didn't catch the 3-part series on teacher burnout, I encourage you to go back. But the third installment of that series with Danita Bird, the licensed mental health counselor, was really eye opening. And I'm just a big advocate for mindfulness. So, her bringing those resources that she shared with those who signed up for the newsletter, I thought was really great for teachers to have those tools in their toolkit to help just make those small shifts through the day. So for me,
Yeah.
that was the most impactful. What about for you?
I would have to say, hands down, was the episode when we talked about being a leader versus being a follower,
Mm,
and the the awareness of looking at your students or your child and those behaviors that right now you're categorizing as bad behaviors, to try to reframe your thinking and see those as potential characteristics for leadership skills and abilities.
Yeah. And I like when we were planning for that episode and you mentioned that, like looking at those strong personality traits of students that could be categorized as bad, unhelpful, problematic, and looking at that and just shifting it to see that as a quality that can be the makings of a great leader. I thought that was very nice. So I give all credit for that to you.
Well, thank you. But you drew that out of me, partners. So we make a good team.
Yes, we do. So I just want to welcome everybody who's watching us live or on the replay. And just know that Valerie and I just wanted to create something that allowed us to discuss topics that were important to us while providing the audience with solutions to the issues. Because if you just talk about the issues and you don't give any solutions, it's just like an endless merry-go-round with no end in sight. So we always provide solutions to the issues that we raise in the episodes, and I think that is a super important part of our podcast.
Absolutely. And not only do we try to provide some possible solutions, but we also would love to hear from you all as our audience on what solutions you have come up with that you think will work, that you've known to work in the past based on your experience. We are here to share and to learn from each other. So we welcome those for any of the shows that you watch, any of the replays. Just go ahead and give us some comments on some solutions that you think will work for that topic for that show.
Definitely. We love the feedback and the interaction in the comments for sure. So tonight we wanted to talk about our journey, the problems that we saw in our respective fields, the solutions that we came up with, and how that kind of got us to this point of talking about it on Tuesday Talks and getting that feedback from the audience, as well as how we, curate the solutions that we come up with in our newsletters that we give to those who sign up for them using the Google form. So I know for you, Valerie, you've been to a few conferences, submitting proposals, traveled all the way to the West Coast. Share with me how that has really impacted you or shaped just your view on education and your place in the field.
Yeah, so I've been teaching. This is year 18 for me. And throughout these years, I've been blessed with opportunities to go to a couple of different conferences, state conference for math teachers here in Georgia. I have also been blessed with the opportunity to present at a few conferences along the way. So that same state conference I presented at twice. I've presented at a couple of national conferences, one that happened in Florida, and this most recent one that you just mentioned was in Seattle, Washington, the state, all the way on the West Coast. And I love those opportunities because they have broadened my perspective on the profession. They've given me a different level of experience just by being able to see and talk to other people who are, doing things differently. And to also see the commonalities, the threads that tie us together and connect us as educators. When you find someone who is dealing with the same problems that you're dealing with, even if they are way across the country, like that provides some common ground and some connectivity for collaboration. And when you collaborate, you provide a breeding ground for innovation and solutions, and possibilities of things that could actually help. So I get excited, if you can't tell, about education, about making it better, and making it better by focusing on the students and who they are as human beings, so that we can teach them the best that they need to be taught.
I love that. I love that. And submitting proposals for conferences is no easy task. They are very detail oriented and you don't always get accepted. You are in a pool of sometimes hundreds of others that are submitting proposals too. So for yours to stand out, to be selected, it's a pretty big deal.
It is a big deal. And I've also had to learn along the way that it's okay for what I bring to the table and the way that I shine to be a big deal. Because in the past, I used to kind of try to dim that. I didn't want to stand out too much because I didn't want to be viewed as arrogant, a know-it-all. She thinks she better than all of those things. And I really had to go through some personal development and get over those limiting beliefs because I'm here for a purpose and I'm called to do that purpose. And so I need to own that.
Yeah, I'm glad that you're able to step into that for sure. I know for me, I've submitted some proposals to conferences as well. And I really just saw a lot of disparities between, you can say, those that know the ins and outs of how special education work and access to services and those that don't. So being a speech therapist in the school and having worked in schools in very affluent areas and schools that are in low socioeconomic neighborhoods, there is a big difference in how access is shared, and how rules are applied, how much parents know their rights and demand the services that their kids need versus those that let the school take the lead on that conversation and tell them what services the kid needs. So that was something that really stood out to me. And if you know any school-based SLPs or speech therapists, you know we bounce around from school to school because caseloads are large and you don't have the luxury of being in one building for the whole day or the whole week. So you bounce around so you get to see how differently schools work. And it was really eye-opening for me to be in the same district in a school that is maybe 5-minute drive away from another, and they operate and function so differently. And so I really want parents to just know the power that they have in their voice in being advocates for their kids in school. It is so disheartening to me when I see that parents are just not aware, and so then they don't ask for the things that they want to ask for. And I just want to be able to help coach parents in that way. And I know you also are coaching and mentoring, but you're focusing mainly on middle school girls, which I think is like such a I can't even tell you. There's so many people who I know are like middle school, no thanks, I'm out. And you are like, no, put me in there. I'm ready. Put me in the trenches.
Listen, so I used to be those people. Those people used to be me, okay? And I ended up in the middle school over these past 2 years. Well, actually early in my career, I actually did a step team, like I think my first couple of years, and it was a middle school group. Um, and so I've decided that I prefer to teach high school kids the math, like the academic part, I prefer them. But when it comes to mindset and extracurricular outside of school things, I really do have an affinity for these middle-aged young people. But I'm like that with you though. So it's amazing to me that people like you, Dr. Tiffany, love to work with these little babies at these early stages because I look at my 6-year-old and I'm like, I could not have a class of you. I don't, there's no part to me that wants any parts of that. I'm not sorry. But yeah, I just found that for me, that group, that age group, they're a lot more malleable as far as they haven't completely set the way they think, their standards. They're still more open to listening to what somebody has to say and believing them and trying some of the things they suggest versus high school students. By the time they get there, it just makes it even harder. So I
Mm-hmm.
love that.
Yeah. And I'm glad you brought up just the difference in the passion that you have for various age groups. And so for me with the little ones, it's like getting in on the ground floor, like working with parents of children ages 2 to 5 is just like where I feel like I can get the most out of them. Like I can get the most out of my expertise, sharing it with them, helping them learn how to be a part of their child's education, helping them understand it doesn't mean you have to sit down and do homework and teach them things at home every single night, how you can just learn through daily activities. And so that is where I feel like I can just pour into vessels that are just open and ready and see the payout from that as well, if that makes
Yeah,
sense.
I've learned from you over these 10 episodes things that I wish I knew. And it's not too late because I am still able to use some of the stuff with the youngest, but
Yeah.
sometimes I'm sitting here and I'm like, man, if I had known that when I put them in pre-K, I mean before pre-K, like in daycare, then like some things just would have turned out so differently. So
Mm-hmm.
what you're doing is definitely needed, especially in low socioeconomic families, especially in minority cultures, particularly in African American cultures, because I see it in my community on a daily basis. So
Mm-hmm.
I appreciate the work that you do, and I just one thing I hope for our Tuesday talks is that it's reaching the people that it needs to reach so that they can get this information that's not easily accessible from the school system.
Yeah, same here. So if you're watching, if you watch the live or the replay, share. If you don't want to share the entire episode, share clips. Just talk about it with colleagues, with parent friends, so that this information and these resources that we provide in the form of newsletters can get out to more people, so that we can do the good work that we want to do with more. So I know I kind of talked about a little bit of the solution that I came up with for the problems that I saw in education, just noting that disparity between kind of the haves and the have-nots. And with you, I know that you came up with your coaching model for middle school girls. And so what does that really look like when you're coaching these middle schoolers?
So as I've been working with them, what I began to see that was very common was lack of self-esteem, um, motivation, feeling like they didn't fit in or belong, and those feelings that they had playing out in a lot of different behaviors, a wide spectrum of behaviors. And so I felt like if I could provide girls with the safe space to find their virtue, find their value, and find their voice, then that would be a way to help them through those middle school years, those preteen, early teenage years. And so my membership is a monthly membership where I offer group and one-on-one coaching sessions for the girls to talk about those things, to talk about their emotions, identify them correctly, because a lot of kids, they can only label happy, sad, and mad.
Mhm.
And there's a whole spectrum of emotions, and the better you're able to identify what the emotion is, the better you're able to deal with it. If you mislabel it, then you run the risk of trying to use the wrong solution for your problem, and it could make matters worse in some cases. Um,
Mhm.
so working on that with them, identifying the emotions and then processing them. Like, what strategies can the girls use? Like our mindfulness strategies that you and I talked about at the beginning of the episode.
Yeah.
Like our girls, all teens, all kids really need to know that, but definitely our teenage girls. And so just to develop some of those skills in them, to include communication and leadership.
Yeah. I think that is super important. I know in some conversations that I've just had with friends and with you too, talking about this generation of children that are in middle school right now, maybe even some high school, you know, in the most simplest terms, they're just built different. Like it's just a different group from when I was that age, when you and I were that age. It's just different. And so I feel like what you provide is something that's really needed. And getting that coaching and that mentoring to them at that stage in middle school can really, in my opinion, just impact the trajectory of their lives. Middle school is, where you can maybe, get on the right path, or you can start hanging out with the people that get you on the wrong path and start getting influence. And now you have social media as part of that influence as well. So developing those skills, that self-esteem, the self-worth, the real firm understanding of your values and what you stand for and what you will stand against is very important at that age, for sure. So I feel like most middle schools should have this type of mentoring program, but I'm sure that most don't, because it does take a lot of time and commitment to build relationships with the students, right?
Right. Yeah, that the relationship piece is the key. It is the thing that is the catalyst for everything else to grow and to get better. If you don't have a relationship with the students, then that means you're really not interested in them.
Hmm.
Um, I was talking with someone earlier today, and I was just saying I made a post at one point, and I was like, basically, in order to be a teacher, you have to care for the students. And so if you don't care for the students, why are you here? Kind of thing. But it's so true, because the relationships, students perform for teachers they like. And I know a lot of teachers say, I'm not here for you to like me. Well, yeah, you're not necessarily there for them to like you, but if you want them to do more of the things you ask them to do, then it is extremely helpful if they like you first. And the way that you get kids to like you is to be genuinely and authentically interested in them. That's it. And it's that easy.
Yeah.
Um, so
I think
yeah.
that's super important. And I think as far as relationship building goes, based on the outreach that I do with parents and also with teachers, that relationship between teachers and parents and caregivers as well, teachers understanding their role in kind of being the initiator of those relationships. You can kind of set the tone as the teacher for an inviting and welcoming relationship, or one that's really guarded and, kind of arm's length away. So making sure that you make those connections in a very authentic way is something that I also work with teachers to get them to understand that power that they have. And of course, every parent, every situation is different. You have some parents that are more challenging than others. And so you might have to dig a little deeper in your toolkit to really connect with them. But I think once you start showing your authentic self and really coming across as relatable versus the expert and I know everything and you know nothing, I feel like that can go a long way in creating some more sustainable partnerships between teachers and parents as well.
And even with what you do, Tiffany, besides kind of facilitating and coaching the parent-teacher relationship, as a coach and an advocate for the parents, you're developing a relationship between you and the parent, so that, because sometimes parents do feel like they're in it by themselves and there's nobody that's really there to support them. They may have family or they may not. They may have family who they feel like don't care. So it's like they're not there at all. So I think that what your services bring to parents is super important, because at those early stages are when parents tend to feel the most lost and the most uncertain, unclear about what to do.
Indeed, indeed. And we have a comment in the chat, going back to your comment about teachers, showing a genuine interest in their students. And our comment says there's a thin line between students liking their teachers and students thinking they are their teacher's friend. So
Ooh.
that's a a good delineation to make. Can you share how to not cross over into becoming so friendly that now the respect is kind of diminished?
Absolutely. So, when students start talking to you the way that they talk to their peers, that's a good indication that that respect line, that boundary line, is being crossed or is about to be crossed. I see it as like the beginnings. And so one thing I do, like they have this phrase where they refer to each other as chat, like "What's up, chat?" Like in the social chat. And so they will try to get comfortable and they will try to use that with me. And I'm like, oh no, don't. I'm not your chat. I'm not your homegirl. I'm Miss Wilson. That's what
Yep.
we gonna do. That's the
Yep.
line, and don't cross it again. Like you have to be firm on what your boundaries are and stay with those boundaries, and they'll respect it.
I agree. Set the boundary.
Mm-hmm.
Call it when the boundary is crossed, call it out and
Mm-hmm.
reestablish the boundary if needed. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I love that. I love that.
That was a great
Well,
comment.
definitely. Well, in honor of our 10th episode, we have some giveaways. You want to share?
Yes. So, in light of the journey that we've shared of ours and the solutions that we feel like would help, Tiffany and I, to celebrate our 10th episode, decided to give you all, our listeners and our participants, a chance to sample some of our services. We want to give them to you for free. So, we are going to do a raffle, and we are giving away two prizes. The first prize is one gift card, $20 gift card, and a parent or teacher consultant with Dr. Tiffany. Woohoo! And then the second one is for a $20 gift card and a free student coaching consultation with moi, with me, Valerie Wilson.
Yes, I love it. I love it. So, in order to be a part of the raffle drawing, Valerie is going to drop a link in the chat and you'll fill out our raffle form. And if you're watching this live, go ahead, do it tonight. If you're watching the replay, you have until this Thursday, February 22nd at 11:59 p.m. Eastern Standard Time to complete the raffle form. And then on this Friday, we will do our raffle prize winning drawing for our two winners. And then next Tuesday for our Tuesday Talks, we will announce our two winners live during our episode. So please take a moment to get um, into the link here that Valerie has put. It's also going to be in the comments. And I want you to fill out the form so that you can be entered to win this really great prize. You're going to get the services from one winner will get services from me, another winner will get services from Valerie, and that way you can sample what it is that we shared and talked about tonight. And I think that you will find the benefit in that for sure. And then you get a nice $20 Amazon gift card too. You can't go wrong with that. So enter, enter, enter. And then next week we will announce our winner. And just as a glance ahead, some of the upcoming topics that we have coming up are going to be special education, how to get services for your child, when to seek those special education services. Also looking at parent and teacher accountability and discussing how that lack of accountability affects the partnership between teachers and parents. And we're also going to be talking about low expectations for student achievement versus state standards. And that's a really, really hot topic. I know, Valerie, you're right in the thick of it or entering it with the
Like, I'm so ready to talk about that topic because I just see so much where, like, the culture of an entire school building is that the kids are not able to perform where the state is asking them to perform. Like, I get that they are probably some grade level behind or whatever, but to just say that they can't do it, that we're going to lower the bar here because we know they can't come here. No, ma'am, Sam. I'm ready to talk about that one.
No, ma'am, Sam.
No, ma'am, Sam, Pam, anybody? Everybody can get some. No, let me stop. I'm just kidding.
And then we're also going to talk about teacher training and how more emphasis is put on resources and materials rather than training the human resource, which is the teacher, and how districts, we know, they spend lots and lots of money on new resources and material and new math and all this stuff. And the human resource is what needs that investment. And so we'll also discuss that, as well as, you know, teachers entering the field as a secondary career through those non-traditional roles or routes, and how that just really reiterates the need to invest in the human resources versus just the materials. So those are some of our upcoming topics. We appreciate you joining us tonight live or on the replay. Be sure to fill out that Google form so you can enter yourself into the raffle. And then we will see you next week right here.
Absolutely. Thanks for celebrating episode 10 with us. And we'll catch you guys next Tuesday.
Have a good night.
Bye.
Bye.